listen. I don't
Fuck,
understand
why
how
can't
you
I
did
see
this
my
yet.
fucking
So-
chat?
Another thing you guys can do is press C, and it gives you free look. Allows you to look around the map and everything.
I got it.
Right now I have collision on,
Yeah.
just so you know. So that means other people can hit other people and move them
okay.
around.
Interesting. Okay.
This is also
So let me get this thing started first. So everyone who's tuning into this, I appreciate everyone. Welcome to the first episode of The Love Shovel.
Yeah, boy.
You got myself, Rage This. Tuning in also will be Crazy Animal Gaming, Man Bear Pig, Obvious Ninja, and Techo. Topic for today is game pricing. Like, what the fuck happened to it? Why do people think it's so absurd? What's going on? Because a lot of the people who are going to be chatting with us here are actually all, like old school gamers from like when we were a lot younger, and remembering that when you bought a game, it was a refined or unrefined or whatever, but it was done. Like, that was it. The game was done. It was sent to you. You had a cartridge or whatever. You plugged it in, or you had a 3.5-inch floppy drive and you put it in. But there was no fucking updates. So besides that, as we get further on, game pricing at what happened and where we're going, guys. What do we think?
I mean, kind of a hard question to answer nowadays.
It's a loaded question. It's a hell of a loaded question.
It's a loaded question. I mean, because game pricing isn't. You think about it. What was the cost of a game in 1996 when Nintendo was out? I mean, it was still $60 for a full blown game.
full blownsies.
Yeah. So you get Mario 64, it's $60. Mario Kart, $60. Mario Party, $60. Any of the Final Fantasy, $60. I mean,
Yeah, but I remember purchasing games back then, like, it would be the finished product, and it would be like, 40, maybe tops 50.
well, I mean, my thing is,
average, it was
It
about
also depends on platform too, but yeah.
I mean, my concern is it's a lot easier to judge a game that's completely finished that's not going to have that online attribute to finish it off. And nowadays, what do you have? You get games of all varieties, you get games of all different prices. I mean, it was every system, every platform had a set price. This is how much you're going to charge a game for. So we got to make sure that there's enough content in it that we're going to keep getting viewers, we're going to keep getting buyers. So, I mean, it's really hard question to answer nowadays that, like you said, and I know we're going to get into this later, but the free to play games, you get games that go into beta, so you get a decent amount of money off if you're going to buy a game in alpha, or you're going to buy if you're going to buy a game before it comes out altogether in pre-sale, you might be able to get a little more content, or you might get a game from a small developer. Wait, am I not done? Okay, fine. So, I mean, I don't know, in my opinion, it's a hard question to answer. I mean, it's so fluid in game pricing nowadays. I mean, how do you guys feel about it?
It is basically what you're saying. I mean, I completely agree. It is getting more fluid, but now there's becoming this, there's becoming this divide where you're having these free to play games, and then you have these other people that are, it's just kind of weird how a lot of these things are evolving now. The free to plays to me it feels like a lot of the market or whatever that they're trying to hit is the microtransaction market. Like that's really what they're trying to
look at what
push.
Fortnite was able to do with microtransactions. They made 2.8 billion last year.
Well, yeah, you get that, but then on top of all of that, you also have like for instance, you have what is it? Like it almost feels like they're mimicking like some of these apps, the apps on like phones where everything is based off the microtransaction.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. I think the game has become not to make great games, but to actually develop enough revenue so that they could continue creating more and more games. And I think the industry just got too expensive to create good games where they can make enough money off of the initial sale and not have to just kind of depend on surviving off of microtransactions and DLCs and all that stuff, where it becomes that extra.
I wouldn't even put it at, like, at this point I wouldn't put it at a great game. I'd put it at least a fully, developed game. It doesn't even have to be great. Like, nowadays they aren't even putting out fully developed games. They're pumping out games just to pump out a game and get everybody, interested in it, and there's still problems out the wazoo with all this shit. And
I feel like it's become like what you're saying. I feel like it's become this setup. It's this boxing match. You get the two fighters in there, and you get these people to spectate over them, and it's just this hype. And that's all it is a lot of times now, especially these big developers. They're just putting out all this hype, and they want you to become interested. They want you to get interested in the lore before it even happens. They want to give you these alphas, and they give you such a small segment of what's actually going on, or these betas, and they make it look good. They make it look entertaining. They just need a few people to become interested. A few streamers need to go into the game saying, "Hey, this is the game that I play. This is the game that you should play too." And it's become this culture where we kind of just accept that this is going to be the game that is fun multiplayer wise. And meanwhile, all these people are buying into the hype, going, "Okay, I can be satisfied with this little bit right here. So I don't need to challenge myself. I don't need to demand more from these. I don't need to demand more from these developers." And I mean, I feel like gamers buying into. Oh, you son. Okay.
Did I hit you off?
Crash right into me. Yeah. It's hard for me to talk. It's hard for me to talk and play golf with friends. Anyway, so I don't know. I feel like the whole community, the gamers, the people that actually care about a good story driven game, and they kind of let these companies go without challenging them anymore. They don't boycott these companies like EA or Ubisoft for subpar games that cost $60, and they let them off scot-free instead of demanding more. And then people are becoming obsessed with this kind of culture where it's okay not to demand this. That is becoming the norm. So, I mean, we're allowing these price gougings to come out where a $60 unfinished game will come out, and
for some reason that's okay. Yeah.
I mean, it's not okay, and anyway, so
this goddamn game is frustrating. I hate you guys. It's the most frustrating $6 of my life. After learning Rocket League. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
I'm saying that after learning Rocket League, so you understand.
I'm telling you, this is eventually gonna get better and better. You're just gonna have fun. It definitely is rage oriented, but definitely fun. I'll take you out of the hole there, buddy.
Rage just popped back out.
Yeah, dude. So yeah, and the biggest thing I'm looking at it is exactly what you guys are saying is. They're popping out these unrefined games because of the I feel like the reason why they're popping out these unrefined games. Oh, did I hit you?
Yeah.
I feel that the reason why they're popping out some of these unrefined games is because of how much goes into the development of them. So they're popping these out to try and make up the money loss for the time being. And in doing so, it is it's then fueling them to continue to make more content for it.
Mother.
I think they're just seeing that it's working, because if you think about it, majority of these games that came out early access, like PUBG, some of the other games, before they even did the mainly it was on early access. PUBG for the longest time, $29.99 is what you paid, and then you got to play, and they brought in skins, etc., etc. The game was lagging all over the place, and people were all getting into it. It had a huge hype, and it's working. So majority of these developers are like, you know what, we could just put early access, or we can put out some of these games and say we're perfect, over time and sometimes die out. There were a couple battle royale games that I played where they said, "Oh, we're working on this. We're gonna make it better. This is early access." So all these people bought skins, etc. I forgot the name of the game, but it was one of the royale games. And then eventually they said, "Oh, the game is dead."
Oh, was it what, Radical Heights?
Yeah, Radical Heights.
Dude, that game looked fucking amazing. Like, it looked like fun, and then they just smashed the
was
servers.
It was fun. They had a lot of cool aspects, but the game was still developing. Yeah, I mean, the whole bike idea with Ring of Elysium, if you think about it, that bike existed in Radical Heights. It
Oh,
was
yeah.
in the game. There were a lot of other stuff that Ring of Elysium does is kind of, I think, borrowed from other games. But if you think about it, developers like the developers that made Call of Duty and some of these other games, they still sell the games around that, fixed price of $59.99 in any store, plus tax, $65. And then on top of that, they figure out a way to make more money, and which is, all the DLCs that you have to pay. For the last, probably, I don't know, since I've been playing video games, I've seen the prices at that $65 range, 60 to 65.
Yeah, usually on the start, yeah.
If Call of Duty raises their prices and say, hey, for standard game it's $100, people are going to go, you know what, I'll buy it. But then they introduce all these different tiers, the gold edition, the elite edition, and then they have the DLC. It's all about, they start to see how people respond to these specific pricing. If you think about it, the last 15 years been consistent around $65. Nothing's changing. However, majority of people are still paying a lot of money out of pocket for all those skins and other gears and things that they want. I mean, it's their choice, but GTA is a perfect example.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's perfect.
Everyone is following GTA. You buy the game for $65, and yet you're still buying so much into the game you don't even have any idea. Another good example is Madden. $65, and you're still playing. You play Ultimate Team in Madden. You're easily dropping, $100 in addition to what you already spent because you want all the best players.
Yeah.
It just, the market has changed.
Yeah.
I think
But I feel like we've let that go though. That's what bothers me is that we don't stand up to a lot of these companies. Well, I mean, and you get a lot of these people that are going to buy into these games like you're talking about. And I mean, to me, these microtransactions obviously come from certain companies.
I'm chilling.
You bastard. You blocked me. Get in there.
I mean, but if we go back to, I know there were other games that did early access before this game I'm about to mention, but I feel like
Suck it, alright? Suck it.
I feel like one of the biggest ones to actually use early access kind of bring a huge change to this community and the way that games are sold is DayZ. I remember when DayZ came out in 2013, 2012, and it was an early access game that you get through Steam. Even PC Magazine rated it as like the 9th most horrific, like most horrifying game to ever come out, and it wasn't even finished yet. I mean, it was so new, people didn't realize that you shouldn't be rating games before they're completely finished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, look what happened after DayZ. You got trash games that came out directly after that.
They copied it.
They copied the sale, and even DayZ was the first one to go, okay, oh, we get this huge influx of buyers. And what do? The creator decides he's going to dip out, and everyone else is kind of left behind, and everyone who bought the game doesn't have anything to show for it. They've had hours upon hours of time spent in this game, and there's no loyalty to the customers, and that's what bothers me the most, is the fact that these early access games come out and they're just garbage, and it's so hard for the consumer to go, oh, okay, this is a game worth buying. Maybe I'll buy this one.
Okay.
And I mean that's my biggest. It's such a business now that you have what we have in politics. It's just lies. It's a lot of unkept promises, and that that really bothers me. That makes me feel betrayed. That's why I can't really.
What gets me is the fact that they're pumping out, like, everybody, like, first of all, a lot of these companies are starting to pump out games that are all very similar across the board now. One. Two, they're all in it for however much money they can make. That's the big thing. And it's whatever technique that they can use to make that money. So, you know, if you pump out a game, like, if you pump out a game and, you know, you got the whole Call of Duty franchise where they're always coming out with a certain high number when it comes to their initial buy, and then they got a bunch of DLCs and then a bunch of these, you know, skins you could buy and all this stuff that add on all these additives that you can purchase afterwards that expand the game for you.
Oh
And
my
then you
God.
got other ones where you got like a lower pay in like PUBG.
Yeah.
And you then oh man, I
Goddamn
missed
hate
that
this
one
game.
pretty bad.
Oh, I helped you get in there, didn't I?
I was like going into the hole right when you hit me.
I don't know. So I mean,
Like PUBG, where it's a low price and then it has all these in-game purchases, and now they have like they make it more interesting by within the game you now have a leveling system on top of that you unlock other cool things, but you have to pay to access it, and then it makes some of the missions hard enough to where a lot of these people, I'm pretty sure, are not even doing the missions. What they're doing is they end up paying to get a bunch of the levels. I know, you know, one of the guys we play with, all he does is he literally has lost a couple accounts because he has wanted to use cheats to play, and has lost probably a couple $100 on PUBG alone.
Oh, damn.
Which,
you know,
which
part-
by the,
part-
which
Part
by
of
the
the problem
way,
is
yeah.
the fact that he was cheating,
yeah.
but you know,
Which does it brings up a whole different thing, and we're not going to go into it this time. That's actually a good thing. I'm going to type that down. Actually, that's a good thing to go into next time. Cheats and where they are headed to prevent it. But like as a whole, I understand like where some of this frustration is coming from, and I don't know, it gets to be interesting. Aha.
Oh. Anyway, so I mean, I feel like we're really hyping on the microtransactions a lot right now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a
Well, it's not even just the microtransactions. I mean, I understand it's business, and I understand, you know, certain aspects of it in regard to, like, you know, how it's like to create a more refined game and all this other stuff, and be ready almost from the get-go. I mean, the first, I want to say, like, the first form of microtransactions were like the expansion packs, really, because they didn't really, it was almost like DLC, but it's an expansion pack, like StarCraft with Brood Wars, or, you know, shit like that, as opposed to a sequel. It wasn't really a sequel, it was technically the base game, but you couldn't play the expansion without the base game, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
well, okay, so then that would go into what Call of Duty does, where they'll come out with map packs in a sense.
Yeah, I mean,
Like the only way that you can play those map packs is you have to have the original, but to play those map packs, you have to buy another portion of their game,
I mean, and that's
which
and
is what
that's-
we were talking about too. But
I mean, and that's a big issue for me too, as far as those mag packs go, because it's basically saying, hey, you can play with some of the players, but you can't play with all of them. I mean,
yeah,
that's
115
cool
strokes,
business.
guys. Sorry.
it's about the biggest number, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember playing Call of Duty, and I
I
wasn't
come
able to
faster.
play with certain friends. It was complete, utter bullshit.
and that's what they do. I mean, that's all it is saying that, oh, you can't play with your friends. So if one of your friends buys it, guess what? And that's what we were talking about earlier as
I
far
have
as
to
Dead
buy it.
Space going. I mean, you want to play together, guess what? You all got to buy the same DLC. I mean, it traps you in there. I mean,
Thank you, man. Thank you. Jericho, we're just bullshitting. If you want to jump in, you can find the game. Password's 1234.
Part of the fun is finding the game or
Mhm.
finding our.
We're America server. America server.
No, I short
America.
powered. Yes. outta here.
I was
Get
trying to
outta
go
here.
next to you, and I planned it out a little too wrong. I appreciate your follow, though, man. Welcome to the discussions. This is the idea, the Love Shovel podcast. This is the first episode, man.
So, more in a question so we can take a little break from this actual conversation. Why is it called the Love Shovel?
It's an idea. Like how the Love Shovel name came about was from
We all
I
have
remember
one.
I was in Crazy Animal Gaming stream one day, or we were streaming Row, and someone
Mhm.
said something about a game called the Love Shovel. And I thought it was something really interesting to hear about. And when I was talking to him about it, he I looked it up, and someone said that there was an actual
Ghosts.
there was an actual game or something called the Love Shovel, and then that spawned into hearing about how what was it, Crazy? There was like a
I don't
level
think it was
in
a
a game
game.
where you actually threw shovels at each other.
Yeah, it wasn't. The game wasn't called the Love Shovel. Rage and I were just bullshitting on stream, and then I had. You remember Dami Tanami? I had when I go to his server, he has this little server called the Love Shack.
Yeah.
So one night we're just sitting there and we're just talking, but we're acting romantic for some reason, just with the viewers and shit, and we're trying to sound, deep voice and all that shit, and we said, "Welcome to the Love Shack."
Well, we're about to
And,
start a new one, dude. There you go.
Lil
You can
Shane
find it.
came out of
Fudge
nowhere,
Packer.
and Lil Shane said it sounds more like the Love Shovel out here, and we're like, "Oh, that's even better. We like the Love Shovel." So every night we would get on and we would say, what's it called? When we would stream, we would say, "You are watching the Love Shovel," and then
And then I would always follow going the Love
Shovel.
Shovel.
Yeah, and then we started talking nonsense like, ladies and gentlemen, whip out your shovels
Whip out your shovels and
Okay.
shovel that love.
and shovel that love around. Oh yeah. But anyway, it was supposed to sound like those radio stations when they have like one of the days where it's supposed to
Crazy.
be romantic and it's supposed to be all about love and music. Like Valentine's Day, they'll be like, "Welcome to 93.3, where the romance continues throughout the day." And then they just play nothing but love music all day. So somehow we just said, "Fuck it, every night we're streaming, it's the Love Shovel from this point on." And then I think we just started meeting Techo and Dirty Meds and got a bunch of people into the Love Shovel.
Which Dirty Meds, if you ever watch this, man, I hope you're doing okay. I hope you're safe. I hope you're healthy. We miss you,
I
man.
love you.
And I hope your PC is alive and not thrown down the steps for the third time.
All right.
You know,
All right. Do not drop kick it. Do not drop kick it. Use
No, that guy
when I was a
threw-
kid, I'd smash my keyboard. I never smashed my.
no, dude. You used to throw controllers on the ground back when we were
That
playing.
too.
twice.
I'll
I used
show
to smash
you.
keyboards
I'll
too,
show
dude.
you to play.
This guy's PC set up by the stairs, and one day he got mad and he picked up his hard drive and he just threw it down the steps. And I think he said he was just starting to get serious with his wife and get married, and she noticed he had some anger issues, and so he's like, that was the first time, and then
Oh,
the
so
second
it's-
time he got mad and he did the same thing again. So he might have
Yeah.
done it again. 'cause
We waiting on the 5th. Is Crazy
I-
joining us in this?
I don't
We have
know.
no idea.
I don't have that game.
Okay.
Oh, Crazy.
I thought it
It's
was
all-
called
it's
Love
all
Shovel
good.
'cause he buried it.
We had a viewer who wanted to join, and he said he couldn't find it, and then that's right when we finished,
We're all about.
it didn't work. Fudge Packer password 1234, man. You should be able to jump in. Give it a try again.
Yeah, it
But
should be.
I was
I
gonna
don't know.
read you this
I-
real quick. Going back
I
to the
think-
topic.
Talking about the controller thing. You know you're old school gamer when you had a brother that always smashed.
What's up,
the
Locke?
controller.
Yeah,
So who was your
smash
brother who
the
smashed the controller?
Rage was my brother.
Yeah,
I
but
was the one that smashed the controller.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Obvious
Sean,
Ninja.
that was an
Obvious Ninja was also an obvious controller smasher.
So check this out. So for Activision Blizzard for 2016, this is their financial statement for 2016. They spent over 5 billion. So basically
Yes.
5 billion, 196 million on salary. Oh, so whatever, 5.2 billion.
Okay.
And then that was basically benefits and overhead, but they brought in 6.6 billion. With the
Well, yeah,
profit
especially
of
with the
1.4
revamp of WoW Vanilla and all that stuff. Yeah.
So they had a profit of 1.4 billion.
Yeah.
If you divide these numbers out, you get an operating margin of 21%. So basically, for every dollar that they spend, they have a profit of 0.21. That's it. You get basically, if you got $1.21 back every time you spend a dollar, that's pretty much.
I mean,
to
that's
an
not
extent.
great if you're working. That's not great if you have like a little honey stand outside in the middle of, Podunk,
Yeah.
Ohio. But if you measure
Yeah.
on a scale where it's,
Yeah, it depends on
billion
the mass. Of
Yeah.
Obvious, restart it.
So
Oh,
basically,
okay, so
they're
we're
saying
now waiting on
this
number
the
5.
current path
Yeah.
for the gaming industry is unsustainable. But not everyone can do numbers like Blizzard. But most developers fail. They don't survive. And then also the numbers that they talk about, like this guy went around
oops.
asking people, "What is your overhead cost?" He was just asking too many personal questions. And a lot of these gamers, these developing companies, were being very secretive about their numbers, and they were saying, "Oh, we spend about 10,000 per person per month." That's the number they gave, and this is a standard that everyone in the industry gives to people that are researching the gaming industry for some reason. And this person that he went to every different developer and asked the
Mhm.
same question, and they told him it's 10,000. It seems to be like a secret number that a standard number that they all stick with. So no one really knows what's the true math or true cost other than what they show on financial statement. But even financial statements for like if I owned a business and I did my year-to-year taxes, as a business owner, there's something called tax evasion and there's something called tax avoidance. Most businesses try to avoid paying taxes the best they can. So, I mean, I call it fluffing. They fluff up the number as much as they can because their mind is always going to be something what it truly is.
Oh my god, this whole skill. Sorry.
Others call it, and then there's something called tax evasion will put you in jail. Tax avoidance whenever is just loopholes that these guys find. So apparently, I don't even know if this number is like legit. It could be much better, but if I was Blizzard, I would do whatever it takes and find the right CPAs and accountants to pay as little tax as I can and do as much deductions as I can.
Yeah.
So I'm sure those numbers aren't really. I mean, I don't feel sorry for them at all.
That's also like looking at if you want to go like just a minor glance at it. When it comes down to medical stuff, there is no actual they have no actual scale on which they upcharge and everything.
Yep, that's true.
But there's a bunch of upcharge to all their shit. For example, you could go online and anybody could Google this. Anybody could Google and find out how much a bag of saline is. It's $1. Right?
If that.
Yeah, you can find the majority of them are going to sell them for about $1. How much? Do you know how much you pay for it when you go to a hospital and get a bag of saline?
Yeah, like at least 50. Sometimes
No,
even
more than that, dude. It's up in the 3 digits.
Yeah, it's close to
around 120.
It's around $100. A lot of
check
it.
this out. Not to go off topic from gaming, because you brought in the medical, and I actually remember dealing with someone that learn about, not as much, but to an extent. I'm not an expert in this area, but there's a lot of these doctors that work for hospitals, that work for different, institutions. Some of them also have their own practice, right? And when you go in, I noticed this because I started seeing a trend because when I would go to one hospital, the cost of whatever it is that they were charging me was much different than the other ones. So I thought it was my insurance company at first, and then I started finding out that insurance companies have a pricing. So, for example, if you're an individual doctor and you take insurance, Anthem, Blue Cross, etc., and you charge a patient some form of a fee, those insurance companies they pay for a certain portion of that charge, and the doctor basically the rest he has to get from the patient. Well, IPA, basically individual practitioners, they come together under this banner, whatever, IPA. These are all doctors that come together under a medical group, and there's like 1,000 of them. And then what they do is they go to the insurance company and they say, give us your best offer. We're all in a network. If you don't give us the best offer, we'll start taking other insurance. And because of this, they're able to get insurance companies to budge.
Yeah.
And these doctors can charge a certain amount of pricing on it has nothing to do with you. It has more to do with the insurance company, but also the coverage is different. Like if the
Well,
amount
that's the major issue. What you're talking about is that insurance companies have always been the major issue, and this is something that's regulated in a lot of other first world countries, but not in America, because what happened was people would, you'd go and charge a minor upcharge of about 10 to 20% on certain goods. So you want to supply someone with crutches. Well, old wooden crutches, let's say, used to cost about, and I'm going back from inflation, let's say they cost about $10. Nowadays, how much does it cost for crutches? It costs something close to $300 for a pair of steel crutches. Nowhere near the cost. But what happens is these people who work for insurance companies want to go back and tell their boss, hey, guess what? I saved us a bunch of money because instead of charging us $10, they're only going to charge us $8. Well, what happened was the medical world went, okay, now we're going to upcharge it to $300 and say we're only going to charge insurance companies $280.
Yep.
And that's all it is. I mean, the price of the crutch hasn't changed. It's just the inflation that these offices want to get away with charging these insurance companies. And that's the major issue.
I remember my bill at one hospital with one doctor was like, for example, the same service was like $300. My insurance company was like, nope, you're not. They try to charge me $500, something like that. My insurance company
Yes,
$300. They approved the doctor for $300, so the charge was $300. I had to pay my difference, whatever that was, 20%, 80%, until you hit your deductibles. Then I go to a different doctor from a different hospital. Because I felt like the service at that one was poor. This other doctor had he's part of a bigger network, so he can charge me an even higher price. The insurance company, it won't let him go too above that limit, whatever that limit is that I don't know of because you don't see those numbers. But the insurance company approved him for a lower amount, but it still was more than what the previous hospital charged me. And I had to pay out of pocket. I called them, said, "What the hell is this?" The other hospital that I use, it was different. They're like, "Oh, it's different due to these reasons." And I had to call so many people just to find out what the hell the issue was. In the end, it's just you if you're working with a doctor that's just practicing on his own, chances are he's going to give you a price that I think is a lot more fair than working with a doctor that's part of a big group. Because they have the ability to negotiate whatever rates they charge with the insurance company. And the insurance company doesn't want to lose a network that has 1,000 doctors, because for them, that's a good network to keep. And you know how they have in-network and then out of their network. So anyways, it was big bullshit.
What the fuck was that?
I bumped into you.
Mm-hmm. No,
Yeah,
and that's the problem though. And what kills me the most is that if insurance companies want to get charged that much, I mean, I still don't think that's right because it just destroys the market. But what happens if you go into a place where you don't have insurance, you have to pay out of pocket? You're still paying that full price. That is crippling. God forbid you get hit by a car.
You can still jump in the water.
You still owe $100,000 for all the supplies and surgeries that you get. And that's where, I mean, medical medical care conversation aside.
Yeah, I was
That's a
gonna
whole
say,
big
we
no, you're
definitely
right.
branched off, but I was
I
just
know.
I was just bringing that up because people can charge what they want to charge when it comes to their games and stuff like that. There was a set value back in the day based on the type of game and like how versatile it was with the rest of the um other games that are out there and with types and stuff like that. But they generally came out at a certain price. So I was just bringing that up because anybody
mean,
can set their own
yeah.
price for certain things when it comes to that.
And then since like with video games and all that, it's become the standard now to not actually have a fully refined game when you spend like the base set price. And I think
Yeah.
that's ridiculous.
I mean,
know?
But you get games like this game, for instance, which aren't hurting anyone. They're $6. I mean,
Yeah.
it's exactly what you pay for. I mean, you get hours of fun out of it.
Flip,
Yeah.
man.
It's
I
And
don't
I
know
mean-
what you're talking about. Where is the fun? Where are you finding fun in this goddamn game?
I'm finding the fun. I'm finding the
It's your
fun in your
frustration,
frustration,
dude.
Yes.
Frustration is not fun. You know what?
I wish you could. Oh God, I wish I could taste your tears. Oh my God. Anyway,
God,
so-
I know I'm gonna bottle them and sell them on eBay. I got you. God, they're
Okay,
gonna be expensive though, because bottles are expensive.
dude, I can get orphan
Fuck that
tears. I'm
bad
pretty
boy.
sure I can get your tears. So anyway,
Orphan Tears was the
I take all the
Holy
tears.
crap. That's a throwback. Sorry, I'm the tangent guy, just so you guys know.
we are from New York.
Yeah, you are.
Wow, that's just racist. You know what?
How's that?
That's
racist?
not how is that racist?
I didn't
Because I'm
even-
black.
you hit me.
I'm black. That's insane, man. I'm not even black. I made it. I made it in
Ugh.
2 shots. Suck it. Suck it, all of you. Hate this game.
Yeah, but how many strokes are you at? That's the real question.
Listen, it takes a while for me to come, alright?
I don't know. Earlier you said you come quick, so
I don't know. It's
am
just
in America. I am allowed to change my. Oh wait, I made it on 1.
I don't know. With the way America's going, that's a negative.
Listen, President Trump will save us all.
That has nothing to do with Trump, and I'm not getting into politics.
Oh god, it's a beautiful topic. Oh man, Bear Pig just flew right back where you was.
yes, I did. It was a beautiful shot too.
Oh god, I just
Oh
kicked myself out the game.
no. Okay, good.
Mother, come on, game, please. Really?
Damn it!
Yeah, figures.
Back and forth.
Figures.
It was so worth it.
Yeah, I was gonna push him again. Yeah, but game pricing has really changed, I think, because of so many industries became involved within
Oh.
creating a game. So it's not only about creating a game anymore.
Well, I mean, there was
money,
a
man.
certain dynamic that went into game development where people wanted to please their fans, but also incorporate them into the game. Like I used to talk so highly of Bethesda, I still do a lot of times, but
Freaking love Bethesda.
I mean, they depended on their fans to make games better through their modding. I mean, and as far as a game developer company,
Mother- Shut up. Stop laughing at me, alright? Goddamn
up
game
on
is
that.
frustrating like a mother.
I changed a couple of the rules in it with the whole bouncing thing. I also allowed you guys to see the power in which you guys previously shot at, so it also helps.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, thank you for that.
helps.
'cause
But,
that-
I mean-
that's super helpful here.
Yeah, I know.
I mean-
Frustrating, though.
But then Bethesda does away with mods because they want to start doing a online service where they incorporate all these people to, play together instead of mod together. And I mean, it was
Yeah.
kind of like a vicarious, like it was a community where everyone did things individually, but through the help of everyone else. I mean, you get these people who spend hours and hours and hours adding stuff into games. They do it pretty much for nonprofit. You can donate to these people, but I mean, it's incredible that you part of this community, and that I get worried when things like that are starting to be changed. I mean, we'll talk about the games that I think did phenomenal. I've talked about The Witcher 3 earlier. Talked about Metal Gear Solid earlier, and then you get a lot of like smaller publishers. I don't know if anyone's played Stardew Valley. I'm sure I'm the only one here who has. But
Probably.
you got it finally.
The startup guy?
Stardew Valley.
Did you guys see what I did?
No.
Yeah, I was trying to do that. Anyway,
I shot it forwards up to you guys, and I shot it backwards because of where the hole's located. So you could.
Oh.
So really sorry, breaking because we're playing this. You could press C, and what it does is it gives you a free look, and you can look around to see where the hole is. You can see where you are. You can see the course. I have it on 15 seconds. I could probably put it up just so you guys
Techo.
can, get used to it a little bit more. But
I've been using it at the start just to figure out where I'm going.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, perfect.
Goddamn annoying. Otherwise,
Just pop right out.
but, I mean,
That's
Go,
great.
like, inside
That's
the-
you
great.
get these
That's
honest
great.
developers. You get these honest developers that make small games like Stardew Valley. Stardew Valley had a ton of content. It was very familiar to Harvest Moon, and
yeah. Okay.
it was, it was a great game. It was a fantastic game. I mean, not a lot of
Oh,
people be
you
into it,
dick.
but
That was not on purpose.
I know. Suck it.
okay, let's try this.
Holy Christ.
Nerd.
I did a toilet bowl.
Swirlied himself in there.
Oh, that's negative. Rage stop right outside.
Yeah,
but I mean, like I was talking about too, is like you get a full price game that like The Witcher. I mean, it had so much damn content in it, and it was a little bit of a learning curve. It was different for a lot of people, but the storyline was phenomenal, and it was, all around a game that, gave so much content to the players. They listened to what the players had to say, and
Get out of
You
here,
know,
man bear.
oh no.
Oh, you like shot us around. What the
Oh, it's totally worth it.
hell?
So, but yeah, I mean, we're like, and I agree. I mean, a lot of these, it feels like right now, I mean, a lot of developers themselves are kind of like fighting with each other when it comes to money and content and trying to set prices to still be able to make money for themselves and make money in the long run off of games, and it just comes down to like, like what direction are we gonna continue heading down, because the free to play is starting to become a lot bigger on the scene now, like a lot bigger when it comes to PC and console and all this stuff. It's now becoming a large contender as opposed to just being, oh, it's free, why not?
Oh man.
Bitch,
Well,
two
thank you.
strokes.
That help you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely see more games going the free-to-play route because it just makes so much more sense. Yo, obvious, that was way too close.
It's still a big
Oh.
risk though for the developers.
Oh
as
yeah,
far as-
yeah.
Because it could just fall over backwards, and they spent all that money developing the game that just didn't go anywhere.
Yeah. No, it is. I mean,
is.
everything is a pretty big risk.
Jump it,
now.
jump it, jump it, jump it, jump it, jump it.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
you could have gone down in that little ramp right there, yeah.
I mean, look at Fortnite. They're making crazy money. The game is free to play, but people are willingly opening their wallets and paying for skins and everything else you can think of. Characters, dance moves.
I mean, things like that don't offend me as much as paying to win. And that's what really gets me a lot of times, is those games that kind of force you to, you know, buy this exclusive thing to, you know,
Mother.
win. I mean, Alex and I play that game, War Thunder. And War Thunder is probably one of the worst pay-to-win games I've ever played. And I don't, obviously would never put money into that game because it's kind of selfish what they do. But, I mean, the fact that a gaming company can just, you know, force your hand with something, and it's a free-to-play game, so, I mean, you can't complain too much. But at the same time, it just, you know, it feels very wrong. Oh no, that was a terrible shot.
God, that was difficult.
Whee!
Jesus, I can't.
I love it, dude. I love it because there's obstacles, the courses, dude. It's intricate, man. I love it.
I do like it, but just,
Oh,
God,
no.
it's
It is, yes,
frustrating
it is
sometimes.
definitely aggravating.
Jesus.
Wait till we play.
Shots.
Wait till I decide to change it up and like have us shoot different shaped balls.
Oh my God, like a square or something.
Yeah, literally, there's a square
Like a
one, there's a
box.
cylinder, there's a cone, there's
Oh,
an
God.
acorn. It's literally shaped like an acorn.
What? Oh, you just got squished. Whee! Seen that timing? Did you see that timing? Beautiful. All of you follow me. Mother rage. You lucky bastard. God damn it. Now, where am I going?
Birdie, that bad boy.
Yay!
What's up, boys? Oh. Oh. I was about to say I celebrated a little too early.
I was coming over. I could have dinked you out. That was bad timing.
Around.
Techo seems
Yeah,
to
I'm
love
not
this game.
beating
LOL.
obvious.
It's like playing pool
But
golf.
whatever.
Yeah,
Unless he
right,
has
crazy.
to do 30 hits in the next.
But yeah, so with that being said, in a nutshell, yeah, that kind of covers, you know, the like game pricing and how things are evolving and changing now for, you know, for better or for worse. I mean, it does get a little irritating because when we were children and younger, you know, you just buy the game and you have the game. Now it's you buy the game, and then if the developers make DLC, then you got to deal with DLC.
You got it on. Sorry.
Then you have to deal with
see mine?
DLC and all the other aspects that come with it. You know, it's like, are you gonna pay that extra money so you can get the DLC, or like I bought Destiny 2, and I purchased it with the intent, you know, that I was going to play it a lot. So I bought the, you know, digital deluxe. And to be completely honest, I haven't really played it much at all.
You know, the DLC is what I probably hate the most, because it's like what someone else said here. If
Keep
one
going.
person out of the group has a DLC, the rest of us
Tight.
don't. We can't play with
Yeah.
that one person.
Mhm. It
Oh,
forces
yeah.
your hand.
you know?
Yeah.
And then
It either forces
the other
everybody
people
else to buy it, or you're gonna have to play without them
Yeah.
whenever they're not playing, or you know, however you want to do it. But you know, you can't play with your friends at that point.
I was reading this article that said a lot of these developers, what happened with gaming is the developers noticed that price is elastic. In other words, if they change the price of games from, let's say, $59.99 to $100, because the cost of doing business is going up, if they change the price, demand will react. People will not buy that particular game and kind of play, you know, buy a substitute good or a game that's similar in other ways. So a lot of these gaming companies stuck with that $60, $65 range because they notice people buy. They try the whole prices.
Oh yeah, they did.
slightly, and they notice people don't buy if they raise it, you know, above a certain point. So they kept it at the 65, and then, but what they did was they said, you know what? Let's do it in pieces. We're going to take away. We're not going to introduce the full game. We're going to introduce these maps. But if they want to get these other maps, we're going to introduce them later down the road. DLC packages. So now when you see games, you buy it for $65 and it says, oh, if you want to buy DLC now, you can buy it for an additional $30. Well,
Mhm.
that's how they started making money, because
Well, I mean,
that was their solution to raising prices. Pathetic.
and this is what I'm gonna go to again, and I'm gonna use this game as an example again with The Witcher 3 because it just, I mean, apart from everything else that went into that game and how much interesting gameplay you got out of the main storyline, which was about 60 hours, easy, and that was on
Mhm.
hard.
Yes.
And I think that was in like around hard mode, but then they introduced a DLC,
Yeah.
which was at full price was $20. That DLC alone gave you almost another 60 hours of gameplay,
Yeah.
and it was well thought out. It was a lot of fun. It was honest. That's the type of DLC I don't have a problem paying for. But the type of DLC I have a problem paying for is 1 or 2 extra maps, or 3.
Or
4
like a
maps
little
that
tiny little addition
And
with like an
that's-
extra character.
And that's what I was going to in the very beginning of this conversation, was the honesty level, and that's what I don't like. I don't like feeling cheated, and I don't like blatant disregard to, okay, you're just you're a pocketbook, and the nice thing about gaming, and since we're a bunch of older gamers too, I mean, there's this art form that went into it. There's this huge amount of creativity. There's a lot of nostalgia to it. There's a lot of memories. And growing up from a community that had to go over to their friend's house with an extra controller to play a multiplayer game,
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
remember those times.
to online playing, I mean, it. And my first console was an N64, but I remember going over to my friend's house to play a multiplayer game. Something simple like Mario Brothers on a Super Nintendo, or my dad's old
Oh my
NES.
God, Van Piece.
Yeah.
So, it kind of is changed so much though, to the point where, you had that creativity, you had that well-defined game that came out that was worth the price tag, and now a lot of these companies are, and I get that it's a business. I work for a company. I work for a conglomerate. It's a business. I get that they need to make money, and that's understandable. But what I don't understand is just getting ripped off, and that's the one issue I have with the price gouging that comes around nowadays. And that was an excellent point about, instead of, okay, we don't have to come out with a game that costs $60. We can come out with a $120 game that we're going to charge throughout a 2-year period,
Yeah.
and that turns me away from a game as far as
Yeah.
aesthetic values, like League of Legends. I mean,
Like the best example of like a ethical game is like Warframe. Right? I don't know if you guys know much about Warframe, but like I recently got into it, but just from overviewing the whole game, you can see how like, even first of all, game is free. Been free for years. It has literally almost new guns added almost every week. If not every week, it's like week and a half.
Yeah.
They have new guns, new DLCs. They consistently have new updates, patches. It's ridiculous how much they're improving the game for a free game. And the reason people really like it is literally because of the fact that they're listening to the people who are playing their game. And that listening turns into people wanting to buy something from the store that they have that are cosmetic items, not actual.
Yeah, and that's the model for a lot of these companies, though. And that's, I mean, the biggest one right now, obviously, is a Fortnite. And it's not a game I care for. You have the PUBG, you have League of Legends, you have Dota.
Yeah, Apex is
all
doing the
these
same
big
thing.
community. I mean,
Well, I
Steam
mean,
Source has been
think,
doing it for years.
Oh
Like
yeah.
the Ring
Yeah.
of Elysium. I'm
Ring of
not a big
Elysium
fan
is
of
starting to
buying
do the same
season
thing, yeah.
pass,
Mhm.
But the first 2 months when Ring of Elysium was out, I mean, we were just playing and having fun, and then one day they came up with their season pass, and the group of guys that I used to play with, not season passes. First time they're like, you know what? I'll buy a season pass. I said, why are you guys buying it? Because we want to support this game. It's free. And they constantly do updates. They constantly change things to make the experience better. So a lot of these friends that were in our circles, they each put in $10 for the season pass. It wasn't that expensive. And to this day, I mean, I haven't seen anyone complain and say I shouldn't have spent my $10 on this game.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
25,
And
I'm
it's
happy.
not I also like the leveling system on it because it's not as much, it's not as ridiculous as PUBG too.
Yeah, it
PUBG
doesn't
got
take
super cake.
forever to get
Yeah,
something.
PUBG takes forever, and the only way that you could actually so even when you don't pay for the adventure pass, you can still um
You get a lot of fun
level
stuff.
up.
Like
Yeah, you can still level up fairly easily either way in that, as opposed to PUBG. PUBG, if you don't pay for the pass, it's going to take a lot longer to level up and get all the half decent stuff that they have when it comes to getting further in the levels. And they have it makes it harder. You know what I mean? Like less fun because now you're going mission hunting as opposed to actually playing the game. And missions kind of going branching off just a little bit to do the mission, or concentrating a little bit to do the mission, but then staying on task with what the game is. So
yeah, and it's actually
Also,
fun.
I think perceptions are different too now. You got to look at your average, gamers.
yeah.
Age categories. I don't know.
But
I
you also
guess
got to look at
start
the
with 12.
attention span of them too. You
Yeah.
got to look at how
Right.
nowadays a lot more people nowadays in society are more of an immediate gratification as opposed to patient. Not as many people are patient anymore. Like
Yeah,
and
well, it's a microwave
time out on
mentality
this.
nowadays.
Time out on the conversation real quick, but this is gonna be fun. I just changed it up again with the way this one's gonna run. So enjoy, guys. I'm gonna start it up.
Thank you.
But continue. Crazy, as you were saying.
No, I was saying you got to look at the age too. For example, if you look at kids
What the
around
fuck?
the ages of 12 to 15 or the younger age, right? They're more than willing to
Fuck me.
spend money on skins and things that are important to them. I mean, I got
Well, a lot of the money they're spending isn't
relatives.
their own.
Yeah, I got relatives that play Fortnite, like little kids, little cousins that play Fortnite, and they're constantly. It's funny.
So
the
dumb.
Mom and dad,
Sorry.
mom and dad, they give their kids about $50 a month to buy Fortnite skins. And I asked the mom and
Jesus.
dad, why do you guys give them $50 to $100? And they said because we ask them to do a certain chore. Like for example, they have to go to the church every week, and if they go to the church every week, the mom and dad give them money. and then they
Jeez,
use
that's like
that
a
to
simple
buy
task in my opinion.
Yeah.
And half the time it's like you just go with your parents. Like your parents.
What's important to the kid
fucker.
is just those skins, right? But for people like us or people in my age group, when I play a game like Tekkel's talking about Warframe, if I play Warframe every day and I'm putting about 2 to 3 hours a day, and Warframe is constantly releasing new DLC, everything is free. Because I'm also in the business aspect, like I think of things from a business mindset. How much money went into this game.
Oh my
I kinda feel
God.
bad because hey, the game is free. Here I am playing the last 3 months. I haven't paid $1 to this game. These guys are constantly updating everything. There's a team there that's constantly working hard to make sure we have a great experience.
Yeah.
Well, eventually I will put in, I don't mind. In other words, I don't mind if they say, hey, we're doing all this work. All we ask in return is, for example, $5 a month or $30 for the year, the DLC. I don't mind that. As long as it's not being forced onto me, it's an option. But I'm saying like Warframe should. I mean, there's a lot of people that play Warframe. It should have that I'm sure Tekkel said people support it, just like people support Ring of Elysium. But if you're playing a game for like a whole year and you're not even paying a dime for it, it sucks for the developer because they're not really, making anything. And they have a team on there constantly trying to improve the game.
Yeah,
So
and I
feel
understand
for
that,
them,
and I
you
mean
know?
that's a good point. But I do, I do work as a technician for a
Yeah.
internet company, and I will say every once in a while, one of my favorite jokes to do with the kids is I will tell them that after I get them back online, if it's a repair or if it's a new service install, I usually tell the kids, "Oh, sorry, our Fortnite doesn't work on our service provider," and it is very entertaining, to say the least.
That is so yeah, the kid is probably looking at you dumbfounded, like, what am I
Yeah,
gonna do
well, I've
now?
actually had a kid break down before.
Yeah, oh God. The worst part of it all, when you tell them that, And so, do you work for like a cable company, or you work for?
Yes.
Okay. The worst part of it all is, especially if that was a kid in my area, they would have been like, "Mom, Dad, Cox doesn't," because we have Cox. Cox doesn't
Mhm.
work. Can we get Comcast? Sorry,
nice.
son. They can't service Comcast in this area. Fucking A. That kid
Yeah.
would be dead, dude.
Yeah,
No,
dude.
that's like so what you're bringing up is what they do here. So the apartment complex I live in has a had a deal with
Time Warner. Oh, sorry.
Time Warner Spectrum that
Yeah.
Spectrum would help install all of it, as in wire up the whole buildings for them, and it made it fairly exclusive. Like some people have Dish Network or Dish TV for TV, but when it comes to internet, that's what you got. That's all it. That's it. That's all they got.
Yeah.
So
That's funny as hell, dude. Yeah, that's a whole nother topic, dude.
hmm
Micro monopolies.
yep.
Yes.
Because I
And,
can't get out of Cox. Like I want to get out so
No.
bad, I can't do it.
and Cox really isn't the worst, but I can tell you,
They're
Alex
all,
and-
yeah, they all
sorry.
have their good and
Obvious
bad.
yeah.
and I shared a room together for a while, and when we were in
Yeah.
the military, and
Yeah, Rage
get
and
a
I
hole in
shared
the
a bed
one on that one?
together.
yeah, that too.
Just
Anyway,
yesterday.
So
How the hell did he get it in one? That's bullcrap.
I don't know.
I jumped it, dude. I jumped it in there, like
Get out of
angled
here.
it
That's
and jumped.
impossible. No angling and jump. That's impossible, man. Get
I
the
think this
hell
is
out
gonna
of
be
here.
impossible for most of us.
Man.
Oh
That is
God! What just
bullcrap.
happened?
I don't
What the
believe you, man?
I can't hit the angle right with this thing.
Goddamn bastard, you hacked. He was hacking. That's what he was
Oh
doing.
God! Mine makes a hard turn every time it
Oh
gets
my god,
boosted.
I almost made it.
Oh, there we go. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Mother. I got
Oh,
So-
what the fuck?
I got
So with that being said, and we ran off on our tangents and everything, and our hour is up. So once again, this is the Love Shovel podcast. Love Shovel, Love Shovel.
Okay, way too much time doing that.
And this will be episode 1. This is more like game pricing gone wrong. And coming to you, this is Rage This, bringing in Crazy Animal Gaming, Man Bear Pig, Obvious Ninja, and Techo. Appreciate you guys listening in. For those who have listened in, stuck around, bullshitted with us, and listened to all of our ridiculous rants and raves while we are playing the game Golf with Your Friends. Next episode, we will teach you how not to do what we're talking about. And just remember, the moral of the story is wear a condom.
I'll poke a hole in it. Don't worry, I got you, bro.